the antitrust with Facebook is really impressive. That this is going on. I'm I'm quite excited about it, to be honest. And this Justice Department under Donald Trump is nothing to be excited about. Bill Barr is a ghoul, and I think Hunter Biden recently announcing that he's getting his taxes investigated. I think this is Bill Barr just throwing one last loogie of mud at Biden and his family before he is inaugurated. This is going to be the Benghazi of the next 4 years. It's going to be Hunter Ghazi. But let's see. One moment. Oh, I don't want to see this nonsense. Hold on. Oh, this is the story I read. Oh, this story. This is a headline. I was like, yes, please, I will read. Government's antitrust case against Facebook seeks a villain in Mark Zuckerberg. Well, they got one, man. That's a villain if you've ever seen one. So, antitrust enforcers are casting the billionaire executive, one of America's tech's darling superstars, as a sneaky and rapacious brawler who vowed to crush the competition. I hope we're all filled with revulsion at the sight of Mark Zuckerberg. I hope. I can only hope. So the U.S. Department of Justice is, here's the more straight story. U.S. states sue Facebook as an illegal monopoly, setting stage for potential breakup. This is really fascinating. The Justice Department wants to break up Facebook. They're saying that their purchase of Instagram and WhatsApp was predatory and was illegal. In this other story, they talked to the Instagram, they mentioned one anecdote central to the case depicts Instagram co-founder Kevin Systrom seeking advice from a company investor while considering a $1 billion offer to sell his company to Facebook in 2012. Quote, will he go into destroy mode if I say no? If you guys don't remember, in the 90s, there was a massive antitrust under Clinton, who was quite the friend to corporate America of Microsoft. And you had Bill Gates, pounding his fist into his hand saying, I want them, gone. I want these companies will be mine. Bill Gates was a shark, and this isn't any right wing is going to put microchips in me stuff. Bill Gates was an absolute shark. Mark Zuckerberg is just the next Bill Gates, except he's actually been incredibly disruptive, and it's funny how much Silicon Valley people fetishize that word disruptive. Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, is he going to go into destroy mode? The answer, probably. Systrom soon decided to sell, taking off for that in the telling of the state and federal officials he couldn't really refuse. Mike Zuckerberg gave him an offer he couldn't refuse, right? So this is very impressive that they want to break up Facebook. But I tend to agree with this story. The lawsuits against Facebook don't go far enough. Because, the site's business model is the problem, not just the apps which it owns. I totally agree. I think that... So I worked in print journalism. I'm an independent journalist now, but the newspaper I worked for was a local independent media company, and it was a weekly newspaper. They owned 2 weekly newspapers, and the media mass extinction that happened after the rise of Facebook was hugely destructive to local journalism, to journalism in general, but especially local journalism. I always kind of likened our weekly paper to a drought-tolerant plant because we only came out once a week, so it was a little easier for us to weather the storm. But in the end, it succumbed as well. The paper I worked for, I don't work there anymore. Part of it is because the position I had doesn't exist there anymore. There's less people working there. There's less content in it now. They just do less of a paper because they can barely compete in this market because it's dominated by these social media companies. It's basically, Apple forces everybody to, you have to bow to Apple to have an app on their devices, right? With Facebook, it's like it's where everybody is consuming news media, so you have to bow down and to Facebook, and you have to play this Facebook game. And really, it's all, if you want your content to be seen, you got to pay. That's just how it works as for journalism. So tons of journalists lost their jobs, because of Facebook. There was even this thing like Facebook pushed video, saying that video was their most engaging thing. So print journalism, jobs started just dying out. And then in journalism, major departments all across the world, all across the country, they're teaching journalists to, how to live stream on their phones and do all of this, and make videos instead of kind of like the hard digging of journalism, like investigative journalism and document requests and all kinds of stuff like that. And so what ends up happening, what happens on the back end of that? Well, tons of print journalists lose their job, and the quality of journalism goes down. And then it turned out years later in a lawsuit against Facebook, they had juiced their numbers, their video numbers. None of it was true, that the video was performing in that way at all. So they did this just to make money. I mean, they are the most robber barony, fat cat. Go look at political cartoons from the Gilded Age, and Mark Zuckerberg's in them. And he is a disgusting human being, an absolute shark. And look at just the massive levels of disinformation and right-wing grift in media that has propagated on Facebook. Look at how Facebook, like the internet and social media, what did it do to most of our generation, like millennials and anyone younger, if you're with us right now? Like we actually learned like media literacy. We found people like Noam Chomsky. Sometimes we went down rabbit holes like Zeitgeist and 9/11 stuff and all of that. But we also just learned a lot through the internet. And what did it do to our parents? The boomers just totally radicalized them. They believe in insane conspiracy theories, QAnon. It's given the Christian right all of these lightning rods to gather around. It's given the far right militias, groups to organize in and plot kidnappings of frickin' like Governor Whitmer in Michigan. It's insane. I think Facebook should absolutely be broken up. I want to hear more arguments about should we make YouTube a public utility and stuff like that, because they've become so big. These companies are so big. I'm here on YouTube. I'm on Twitch as well. I'm like Oliver Twist with my little hat out. Please, sir, please let me have the subscriptions and the likes and please give me money, please. Just howling in the wilderness. I'm glad you guys are here with me. But Facebook is, the top of the mountain. It is, or the bottom of the totem pole, or whatever metaphor you want. Facebook is the evil company. Mark Zuckerberg is the twirled mustache guy, and he needs to be taken down. The only guy probably worse is Bezos. But even then, it's like you can't blame Bezos for like fucking over the 2016 election.